about colorism in the Philippines and how it relates to Black Lives Matter. And we're talking about my experience as a or black Filipino American. Um, and I think it's been kind of an enlightening experience to see how everything is unfolding, the hopefully start of a revolution, how it's unfolding from 7,888 miles away. It's kind of cool to see that. To the live. Please put a question down below. The topic is being black abroad, if anybody is interested in knowing about that. For me, it's a privilege to be able to live in a foreign country that's also my home country, and to also dissect it a bit. I am Black American and I'm also Filipino. Interesting to be in a lockdown and see what's happening in America via my phone. The dialogue that has to happen on a global scale, because there's a lot of people within the African diaspora that are not in America or have lived in America but now are expats that experience different types of oppressions and different insights that I think also needs to be brought to the table too. So I'm not the expert. I just wanted to talk about it and share some of that experience. Many people don't consider that here or in America about being biracial and how there's a weird kind of dichotomy, because everything is we live in a global world and it's all connected to like white supremacy in a sense, because white supremacy is centering whiteness as the main narrative that happens in America. We can see it with the media and who like the music that we listen to, what we learn in school. It happens here too in the Philippines because there was also 500-year or 400 plus, I can't remember the exact number, but 400 years of colonization by the Spaniards. And they did the thing of whitening of the culture, and that's also a form of white supremacy, because the whole idea of colonization, that Queen Isabella and King Philip I, who his name is where the Philippines comes from, is the main purpose was to create a Eurocentric society in Asia. And it sort of worked in some ways. And I can go more into depth. I have a lot of books about all of these. So it's important just to be critically thinking about the media we engage in. And media literacy is just who, what, when, where, how, and why. Thinking about those things when you consume the media that you do. And I'm just speaking about that because I think it's interesting that there's a lot of really popular artists in the United States and in the Philippines that have a platform that reaches to the millions and millions, and they remain silent about issues that have always been present and prevalent in their lives. And if they are silent about the issue and I'm not saying that they need to post memes or radicalize people, but they should, because, for example, like famous artists in America, a famous American artist like Taylor Swift, for example, or I don't know who else is famous, like, or who has a big platform, if they were to speak up about issues that are happening in America and using their white privilege and their platforms to speak on that, more people in the Philippines would actually know about what's going on and be more empathetic, as opposed to me, which is not to say that's in a bad way, but it's the truth. And it's important to just be mindful of that, like all of the people that we really love that have those bigger platforms, and if they're not speaking out right now, it won't change anything. Like all of the things that people in America are protesting for, like the lives of Black people, and then everything else that comes within that, will be in vain. And if we don't continue to press, yeah, Lady Gaga partnered with Amazon just last week. Yeah, and like Lady Gaga is another prime example of somebody who has a platform to speak out. And I'm not coming from a place of hate or negativity or anger. I'm coming from a place of like Black boy joy and just observations. But yeah, Lady Gaga has like such a huge LGBTQ following, and I think that in the context of Southeast Asia, if she were just to speak on her platforms on Instagram or whatever about what's going on and how she's privileged from her whiteness and how she's privileged in so many ways because of her whiteness and the white supremacist capitalist society we live in, but in a very like in her own way, you know, like that would really enlighten people here. I'm just saying, like the the there's so much I don't want to say power, but influence that a lot of these artists have, even like Disney stars who have social media accounts that reach into the millions, can just speak about what's going on and how to maybe empathize or have people empathize with what's going on because that celebrity is doing it. I think that's a great step forward in Black Lives Matter, and also just more general awareness, because there is a lot of misinformation being spread globally about the riots and the protesting, and not knowing that racism exists. Like people really don't know, or people like my cousins here in the Philippines ask me if racism is real, and like the kids that I've met have asked me if that is real, and like if people are still asking that question or not even being able to understand how they themselves are marginalized, maybe not to the same extent here, it is kind of saddening. And it's also saddening that there's killer bees. Just kidding, those aren't killer bees. It's also kind of disheartening. Uh, wait, I need to drink some orange juice. Oh, thank you, Miss Tallman. I like all your posts too, especially mindfulness posts. Anyway, oh yeah. People here are POCs and also don't recognize that Black Lives Matter. Not saying all, I'm just generalizing, and I'm also speaking from experience that Asian people tend to think of Black as dumb and poor and bad, and the whiter you are, the more um, smarter, beautiful, intellectual you are. That's like the general idea of the racism here, and that would be classified as colorism. And even yesterday or 2 days ago, I messaged, well, not directly, but I commented on Leah Salonga's post about the film industry here, and I told her that there isn't gonna be like nobody knows about like Filipino actors and creatives and anything is because the system is based off of white supremacy and in the form of colorism here. And the work that you see here in terms of film is not universally um, admired, or I mean, Korea is similar in terms of being homogenized and also practicing colorism, but there is, I don't know, I can't talk about Korea. I'm just talking about the Philippines. I think colorism is something here that needs to be discussed because that affects uh, profiling when it comes to the drug war that's happening here, the drug war, which is just pretty much just unlawful killings of people who are believed to be drug pushers or drug dealers. Does anybody have any questions about what I've said so far? Because I kind of generalized and overviewed a lot of topics that have more depth. I mean, there's more to it than what I've spoke upon. Like I was just generalizing a lot, but I was just, doing my thing in the background. Or would it be it would be the foreground? I'm 7,888 miles away. I love you too, Mr. Zachary Barnspag. You're inspiring. I included you on a list of artists that inspire me, as well as you, Quentin and Emily. You guys are really, honestly, truly sweet friends who happen to be awesome artists as well. Um, I'm over 7,000 plus miles away from Denver. Weirdo doing that from abroad. But I think some things that I can't speak on all of society, but in terms of the privilege that some people have in America versus black people and people of color and anybody in the LGBTQ. Anyway, all like there's like an imbalance of power when it comes to art, for example. And I noticed in the cities that I lived in America, like San Francisco, Denver, Atlanta, and New York City, there are many opportunities that people who have, let's say, white privilege or financial resources, etc., to uplift people who are maybe marginalized and disadvantaged purely because of their skin color. I think that it's important in those spaces in America, like after this is all said and done, when the hurly burly's gone, when the battle's lost and won, I hope that people really just. Hi, Maisa, do you want to join me? 'Cause I'm kind of losing steam. I think it's important within the spaces of art to uplift and continuously uplift black creators and black artists. And I'm not saying to promote my art. I'm saying anytime you are collaborating or meeting people in DIY spaces, in galleries, in your shows or shows you attend, to really continue to uplift others that don't look like you. That's it. That's all I have to say on that. And I think a lot of times for me, I've been very blessed to meet people along my journey that are super supportive. And yeah, I have no real complaints on that end, but I'm just saying something to be mindful of too is just who you collaborate with. Like, is your band only 5 white dudes? And is that like, is the music that we're creating, is this group of 5 white guys, for example, or this whatever thing? I don't know. Just use this band as an example. Is this really gonna transcend music and really uplift? Because I think that needs to be considered when collaborating and making work with people. Is just the types of voices that you allow in your spaces when you create. Like, I'm always mindful of that. Like, I always try my best personally to include black women, all types of women. I love to be corrected. I love to be edited. Oh, hello. May said join. Can I add you? Oh shit. You can't hear me? Like this, is this better? Maybe I'll go. I don't want to go into my room because it's too small. Oh wow. Is it working? Hello? Testing?
Hey.
Guys, can you hear me now, Maisa? Because Zach can hear me. I think I just had the mic too low.
Yeah, it was like super low before. What's up? What are you talking about?
So it kind of I'll try to remember what I spoke about, but we went on. I mean, I started talking first about being a black man abroad, being biracial. Um, I talked just recently about being a black creative in white spaces, a little bit, and then
Okay.
how we can uplift
Since
one
you
another.
asked me if I wanted to argue, so if you want to argue with me, you asked me if I wanted to argue, right?
No, I don't want you to. We can argue, but we don't have to argue.
Because you know I can argue.
No, I'm this whole live. I just want to do like have like healthy discussions about blackness in all forms. Like, because I'm speaking on
Okay,
being black
can,
Filipino.
can I bring up something that I
Yeah, go
don't know
for it.
if you talked about this, but I talk about this with Josh sometimes. You mention the fact that you are biracial. And I mean, that's a thing. And I feel like for a lot of biracial people, for one, biracial people have from the beginning always been a part of this fight. Probably, if not more so than just regular black people, all, you know, because all of us are not united, all of us are not together, but biracial people specifically, because once you have that drop of black in you, you're automatically black. So it doesn't matter if your mom's
Oh yeah.
white, it doesn't matter if all of the people that you know in your life are white, like they look at you like you're black, you are treated like you're
Oh,
black,
absolutely.
and if you don't know it
Hmm.
while you're young, you figure it out when you get older. So like I think
Yeah.
that's like a really interesting thing, because I wonder what it's like for biracial people, because it seems like you're like welcomed into some communities and actually totally xed out of every community that you're supposed to belong to at the same
Yeah.
time, because if you're black, you're also mixed with something else. So that's how black people look at you. You're kind of black, you're half black, and then everybody else, whatever
Mm.
you're mixed with, well, you're black, you're not us, like we don't
Yeah.
look like you, we don't talk like you, we don't, you know. So but
Exactly.
sorry, one other thing I wanted to add to all that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I feel is hard for biracial people, and especially for like all black people like me, is that there is a privilege within it. Josh, he's all black like me, but he's
Mm.
light skinned. So like it's like there's like small little privileges even within being like black, which is like you're trying to relate to your people and you could be all black and you
Yeah.
still are x'd out of your own freaking community because
Absolutely.
you're light skinned, you have a privilege, people like you more, you're a token, you're higher elected for jobs or whatever, like you make white
Yeah.
people feel comfortable.
I noticed that in America, so or here even, it's like if I, it's weird because like yeah, you're allowed in some communities in some circles and then completely shunned from others. When it came to the black community in Denver, when I first when I was growing up, like I felt very ostracized because I didn't understand my blackness and I didn't understand my Filipino heritage too. I was just every time
There's no black people.
it was a default white for me growing up. I was just like I associated my life to the ideals of whiteness, and everything that I consumed and everything that I admired was towards
Yeah.
that because from being biracial. And then it was for me, I had to kind of unlearn and what's it called, like just unlearn those things that I thought were true, and or things that I hid from myself about my realities of what my existence is, by just first of all, like there's a lot of work that I did that I don't want to have to like talk about here because that's kind of TMI, but okay, I'll just be
But
TMI
also, look, as a black man at this time, I don't feel that you owe anybody explanation to how you
true.
feel, whatever you're going through. You don't
True.
owe anybody any of your traumas, period. Like, it is a
That's
story
true.
that needs to be told. However, like I was saying in my live, like, I could sit here and talk about my entire life and there wouldn't be a Netflix series that could cover every single detail. And I'm
I
just a
really
black
resonate.
woman. So imagine the average black man who don't even know that he's black. Like,
Yeah,
and then
like,
discovering he's
hmm
black. Like,
yeah, it actually
and not
would
even
be.
that you're black. And that's not what I mean. I just mean, like, just in terms of understanding how other people view you. That's what
Yeah,
I
like,
mean by understanding you're black.
yeah, absolutely. Like I identify as biracial, but honestly, like my default now is just like I'm perceived as a black man, and that's how I have to go about it mentally.
And you
And then
should. You should, for
and
your
then
own safety, your own protection.
oh
If
yeah,
you have children, your children will be black and they will be looked at as grown at. If you have a son, he's a grown man in the eyes of white people by age
mhm,
12. So
true.
I think you would be very naive to teach even your children that they have any other chance out of this life. Like, oh, just be a
Right,
kid. Nah. Know that the police are looking for you. Know that they will kill you on these streets. Like, it's so
right.
crazy being a mom.
Yeah, it's a point of interest for sure. Even like yeah, like it's true what Lexi just said too. There is a lot of crazy identity shit with being biracial. Like here, for example, in my LGBTQIA organization, Advocates, which I mentioned earlier, they were kind of condemning all the rioting and the deconstruction of property, blah blah blah, without ever having lived in America. And I told them to not speak on things that they don't know about. Like they can't speak on American culture and the dynamics without have ever like living in the country like United States and like knowing how it functions.
Experiencing it.
And I told them to, they're all like kiki ha-haing about Pride Month and the virtual Pride Month. And I was like, that started with the riot. You condemned the riots, and gay liberation started with a riot.
Yeah.
The ability that we still, the marginalized rights that we have here, the non-equal rights that we have here are due to your complacency and kiki ha-haing and not doing the research
Exactly. Not people
available
not
on.
taking it serious.
Yeah. And I'm like, 10 years from now, when we all are like when we're still doing these advocacy volunteer work for HIV, STI awareness, LGBTQ awareness and advocacy, and we still don't have rights, it's because of this day today where we talk about protesting and we don't understand how that creates change, and complicity with the government never gets anything done. And I told them that, and they didn't listen. They're it's hard, and I was like, we're all marginalized people, and like you guys marginalize me for being black, and I don't marginalize you for being trans or whatever, and we're all in the same boat here. We're all trying to help each other. But if we forget about that and we don't think about the history and see that the history is current, like all of the oppression, all of the slavery and colonization that happened here and in
Acknowledge what's going on. Acknowledge what's happening. Acknowledge what's happening to you in your own community. Listen to your struggle, listen to your specific fight, but it could be you. And that's what's so crazy is people don't even
yeah,
realize that, like, black people are just barely getting noticed. So what about all these
yeah,
Mexican ages in America right now, which, like, low
yes,
key,
yeah,
like, I feel a little bit more talking about it because it's something that matters to me, but I can't say
yeah,
that it matters more to me than my people getting killed on these streets. It matters more to me than my daughter growing up and her having to deal with these police encounters that I've dealt with. I've dealt with harsh, 2 occasions I've been wrongfully arrested and let out of jail the next fucking day. Wrongfully? How does that happen? How did that
that's
happen?
white supremacy and
Resisting
abuse of
arrest is
power.
not violence. How do you resist arrest without violence? I'm a threat. I'm a threat. And you're writing it down that I'm a threat without violence. I feel threatened. So I call 911, and because I'm low informed at the time, I don't know how to handle myself with the police. You're not supposed to call 911 when there's police on the scene. So like I feel like that's something that we could be doing just within our community as people of color, period. Just educating all of us about how to interact with the police and educating our white allies about how they can help their friends in interacting with the police, because I've been around white people around the police, and you know what? They switch up real quick. If they're white, then they need to be white. But any other time, you're my friend, and oh, I'm here for you. And you know what? If you're here for me and you're there and you're gonna do all this shit, show up. Period.
Yeah.
Show up. Move out the way.
My friend. Yeah. Gay marriage is illegal in the Philippines. Yes, it is illegal. Divorce here.
You said what?
This Philippine divorce is illegal. Divorce is illegal here. Here and Iran and the Vatican are the only 3 places in the world where you cannot divorce from your
spouse.
Your spouse. Yeah, it's only 3 places in the world where you cannot divorce, and that's another issue, human rights issue, that people tend to blow off because they don't know how toxic that is, and they don't want to people don't like to face uncomfortable facts about how it's not safe to be in a marriage and not be able to have the right to get divorced. Because what if it's a abusive partner? What if your partner is having an affair with other people? There's like a myriad of things that are not okay. It's actually human rights violations as well to not have the right to divorce from somebody, because it creates I just want to call it, I don't want to say enslavement, but it creates an unbalanced dynamic between married people in this country. And
absolutely
creates a toxic, continued talk. Like if my mom and my dad, I'm glad they are they married in America, but they married here first. But if my parents weren't allowed to divorce and they were in that marriage, it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Like it's not a good thing to control a marriage like that. The government, I'm talking about the state government, like it's not good. It's fucked. Yes.
I agree with those things, but I also feel like a lot of that also goes into like education, location, and like although it's messed up, I kind of feel like energetically those are the things that we need so people can have a reason to fight. Because
yeah, I
don't necessarily like to say that something's unfair for something that somebody chooses. Like, it's not always the choice, but in many situations they are, because it's funny, I didn't know that about the Vatican, but my grandmother was Roman Catholic, and she doesn't believe in divorce. Like, that is a thing of Catholicism. They do not believe in divorce. Like, she got the thing by the Pope, done by the Pope, her marriage license or whatever, signed by the Pope. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's like really believed in it. But she married somebody who was a chief in Ghana and had 3 wives. She was one of the 3. Not to mention, he had like hella other kids and stuff. Like,
was she okay?
But it's a different culture. So like, if you're chief and you have multiple wives, you can afford that. Like, you're actually like, we have 3 houses. For example, we have 3 houses in Ghana. So my mom, my grandmother, that one house is hers, one is my aunt's house, her mom's, and then one is my uncle Baywa's, his mom's. So like, if you have wives, you provide for them. So it's a different culture. So if you sign up for something, then I kind of feel like I don't know, but like we did not sign up for this shit. We didn't sign up for America. We didn't sign up for oppression. We didn't sign up to get killed for the
Right.
color of our skin. Like, I don't know if I'm like taking your thing too much for a turn, but you know
No,
me. You know
no, I love
me.
you.
What
No,
did
I
you
love.
think this was? You thought I wasn't going to get up here and let the people know that Black Lives Matter? Hello, welcome. Lady
That's okay.
Taboo, Black Lives Matter, if you didn't know.
Everybody, please follow Lady Taboo, Village Taboo. She's amazing. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, 100%, because I'm black, and I not just that. It's important to acknowledge that because I acknowledged it earlier, but it's good to continue to acknowledge that. Um, I'm
You're
very,
welcome.
I'm a proud black man. Just kidding. That sounds so cheesy, but it's true.
Serious face. I see you. I see you. You've been working on your little acting skills. So I still haven't seen your show, but let's
Don't watch. Let's not talk about it.
okay.
Because I feel weird that I played an FBI agent and worked with the law enforcement in the context of the show, and it's not.
Dude, but whatever. You're out here doing like fire shit. You're in the Philippines making a fucking movie. Like you're doing real shit. You're doing passion. So like fuck all that. But let's
Acknowledging
get
that.
back on topic.
Yeah, thank you first for acknowledging that. But let's go back to Black Lives Matter. What's going on currently in Austin, and what's going on in Denver?
So
Because a
in
lot of
Austin, I actually saw that somebody got shot by like, huh?
I'm laughing at Quentin's emoji. It's my favorite emoji.
Oh, is that Quentin? Oh my
Yeah.
God! What's up? I haven't seen you since back in the day. That was my homie. Quinn was
he's
my
fucking awesome.
homie.
I love
When I had
Quentin.
a party, I'm pretty sure I made sure he got an invite. But
Good. He deserves all the invites. Duh. Just kidding. I don't know why I'm being so sassy. Anyway, continue.
nah, but so in Austin, I actually saw that. I hope you're doing well. I'm gonna follow you. I wonder what you're doing these days. Like, we should probably talk. What? What?
I'm just laughing because it's funny.
That's what happens when you
Can
meet
you?
tight people. But there.
Side note.
Like,
One side note.
apparently, like the police have been like tripping, and mostly not on people who are black. More. Do you mind grabbing her?
What?
They've been tripping the mostly not on people who are black. Mostly people who are of color, but and also white. Like Austin is a very like mixed pot. There's a lot of interracial couples. So like there's obviously way more white people than there are black. If there are interracial couples, like there's mostly white, or there's mostly like Latino, Latinx. I don't know. I don't know the term.
Yeah. It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag there.
Huh?
I said it's a mixed bag.
Long story short, the police are like wilding out on people for like absolutely no reason because Austin's really small. It's like a smaller version of Denver, basically.
Have you noticed like a change in like the protests go like is it changing from Black Lives Matter focus to something different?
Latinx. Okay, I did it. Okay, that's right. Hey, Emily. See? All the people. What'd you say though?
I said, do you think the protest and its message for Black Lives Matter is getting muddled?
Yeah. So the whole blackout thing that happened today, that's what a lot of people were saying. Is like they don't have access to actual like rallies and like connection spots. So like there's definitely going to be a whole lot of loss of the message and what people are aiming to do and where they're aiming to do it, because I definitely feel like people are going through specific neighborhoods and doing what they're doing to make a point. But if there's no connection, then the message is going to get drowned out. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are looting, and some of the looting is helpful. I feel like the action in general was helpful, but there's a lot of people who are out there for the wrong reasons, and those wrong reasons and misagendas are going to fuck everything up. Like, this is just the beginning. Like what is going on in 2020? The energy in the universe right now, like, stage
I think Saturn is an
your
Aquarius.
wives, stage your daughters, stage your uncles. Like, grab a crystal, rub that thing.
Rub it and burn sage.
No, this is my favorite thing.
And bay leaf. What? Where did you go? It looks like you're Nickelodeon. Oh. Black Lives Matter. I'm here with Maisa, and I'm Andy Denson. We are live reporting from Cebu City and Austin, Texas. So, what do you think is next? What are... Oh, there's breaking news. There's a thunderstorm. Oh, I'm trying to be serious.
Okay, I'm trying to find the... I don't know where home is.
True. Emily is right. And yeah. Oh shit, that scared me.
No, no, there it's not. They just like reset. I'm looking for it. Okay, there we are.
Yes, there was Saturn was an Aquarius during the Rodney King riots. I hope that there's more visible change, because I feel like I'm speaking on Black men, my Black experience in America, I feel like there's a lot of like walking on eggshells a lot of the times when I'm in America. Like, I have to put on...
Continue to happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. If it keeps happening, it's kind of like, why would I invest my life and my career in that country if I feel like I'm walking on eggshells from being just Black? You know, that's something that shouldn't be occurring still in 2020. I mean, I was never in America in 2020, but it shouldn't happen in 2021 or 2022. But I think that it would be a shame if the riots...
It's been happening, and I feel like that's the point. Like, this has been going on. So we're like just finding out about these things. Like, I don't know if you saw that video I posted of somebody getting killed on 6th and Dayton like 4 days ago.
Yeah, like, that scared me. My mom lives near there.
Like, that's like, that just happened like around where we used to hang out, like not too far off. So it's just, I mean, just saying in terms of Denver in relation to just being in the city, like Aurora.
I told you.
Like, I'm trying to get my house.
The killer bees are real. Speaking on that, Black Klansman is an important movie to watch. If you haven't seen Spike Lee's 2018 or 2017 film, just, oh, 2018. Yeah, 2018 film, Black Klansman.
I
Please
saw it.
take, yeah, I know you did, but I'm just saying to the four viewers to watch that movie. It's available if you type in Black Klansman online streaming free on Google. You can do that for any movie. There's a lot of
Did you
radical.
know that if you type in Black Lives Matter on Facebook, the page will crash?
Yeah, I actually learned that from watching your live.
Yeah.
You know, the algorithm for Facebook, TikTok, Instagram do not benefit Black lives. And I think that's something that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, I think
Like,
something that needs to be acknowledged are the companies that are acknowledging everything that's going on and the
yeah,
companies that are
that's,
not. Because there's a lot of companies that are doing absolutely nothing. Like Nickelodeon went silent. They're in the shade room for going silent for like 8 minutes. Yeah. So like some people are like taking this serious, like even if it just means something to them personally, whether they understand the movement or not. Like this is something that should not be happening, period. It's something that
right.
should not have happened. The people who called the police on him, they regretted calling. They acknowledged that openly. So it's just like saying nothing at all is saying a whole lot of something
Yep,
versus people
it
acknowledging
is.
it. And, even just saying, I don't fully understand it, but
I
this
love Matilda,
matters.
by the way. Hmm.
Like Matilda,
Shit, what was I gonna say?
that's a good name. We're doing M names, for our babies because I'm an M name. So my
Maisa.
daughter is Majesty.
I love that name.
But now
Another thing that's
Matilda is in the pot.
another thing that's kind of interesting too is like these corporations love to make money, and Black people have a strong buying power. Like they have a strong buying power in the United States. And I think this has been talked about a lot, like with other types of Black people, about just like investing your money, and even like the little things, like with what you buy day to day, what your necessities are, to really be mindful of where you put that money towards. Like,
Agreed.
because I know like most places you cannot, even in Atlanta, you can't buy all Black owned business products or anything. But I think with now what's going on, noticing people should take note of the companies that are speaking out against like systematic racism, and like avoid as much as possible from shopping from them, because buying power is powerful. We live in a capitalist white supremacy society, excuse me. Supremacists fall under the umbrella of white supremacy. But in terms of the capitalist aspect, I don't know, I just learned that from Bell Hooks like 2 years ago when I was living with a racist woman. I won't mention her name.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I shouldn't say that, like talk like that, because. But
Oh my
y'all,
god.
anyway, it's just important to be mindful of all of that. You're like scene changing. You're keeping the visuals going, and I'm just like, Bellux is queen. Yes, I think the work is so challenging for a lot of people to digest. I mean, uh, people who are white or whatever, people really should tell white people should really tell other white people, or use their platform to talk about like bell hooks. And there's so many like amazing lectures, but I think they're hard for a lot of people to consume because of the running time. Like it's an hour long lecture. Most of the bell hooks lectures I see are like an hour long or more. Thank you for doing the groundwork, Matilda. I think it's super important. I love you too.
Absolutely.
You,
Thank you for being a part of the
that's,
fight, for real.
and please be safe and hydrate. And there's so much,
My hand is wet.
mine is too. I was having it under my armpit. Shit. Oh, but I,
Mom,
hi
though.
Rachel, I love you so much.
My baby's
Um,
crying.
there's so many people on here doing so much good work, like, or even if they're not, they're even if they're not able to be there physically, it's good that they're spreading awareness of issues, systematic issues. Hi, my sister Angelina. I love you. I love you. Or Angelina's an angel. Matilda's an angel. Rachel's an angel. Maisa's an angel. Majesty's an angel. All. I'm very blessed to have a group of. I'm really blessed to have a group of women of the whole spectrum, and they're all allies and.
You're welcome.
Yes.
We didn't have faces, but we did. But for real, I have to go be a mom. I think Daddy needs help. But I love you.
Thank you for joining.